I'm always pleased when I can be with KACD. They're a group of people who are committed not only to today, but tomorrow. There's lots of Kansans who look toward making sure that they can get by today, but their primary focus is what can we do to make the world a better place? And in this case, what can we do to make our farm and our agriculture, our county, our community better, creating an opportunity for another generation of Kansans to earn a living farming and living a rural way of life. Farmers and ranchers are among the easiest people for me to be with. And I'm a lot about trying to make sure that rural America has a future, rural Kansas in particular. And so these are people I care about and I enjoy being with. Absolutely. I mean, one can hear things with words, can read something on a piece of paper, but seeing it and having people whose lives are affected by the issue, it's much more compelling. It grabs you, it grasps you. It also helps me to tell the story when I'm back in Washington, D.C. So if I'm on a farm and am told something and see something, it's an opportunity for me to go to the Senate floor and speak, or just a conversation with my colleagues. Hey, this is what I heard, this is what I saw, and that's a much different story than that's what I read. Or it's a more compelling. It grabs you. And you said, you're right. We do a conservation tour. We've tried to do this annually because of the Senate schedule. Sometimes we've missed out, but almost every year we've had what we describe as a conservation tour. Often ends up being conversations about water and water resources, but it's about seeing how particularly agricultural programs through USDA are being implemented in Kansas. And from a taxpayer point of view, are we getting our money's worth? And from a farmer landowner point of view, has the program got any common sense to it? Is it capable of being performed? Are there rules and regulations that make no sense? And so it's a learning opportunity. And we usually have 50, 60, 70, 80 people join us, people from the city as well as the countryside, and they too get to experience conservation practices in person and see what the results are and see the challenges that still exist. Who knows better than the person who is on the land? They are the experts. And what these conservation programs are designed to do is to take somebody who knows and cares about their land and combine that with technical and capable assistance to make sure that the programs that are administered by the Soil Conservation Service is done right, and it makes a difference. So people in the know are the people on the ground. I look at elections, the results of elections is like New Year's. You do your New Year's resolutions and you make plans for the future. An election is an opportunity for things to be better, to be different, to have new people to convince about the rightness of your cause. And we'll be there trying to make sure that this new administration that arrives in January has an understanding, appreciation of agriculture and rural America, rural Kansas, and make the case that there's lots of things that are worth fighting for, and we need your help. We're particularly paying attention to drought, the challenges that Kansas faces for multi-year drought. That means crop insurance needs to be modified to better care for those times in which it's year after year after year, the average doesn't ever amount to enough to get an indemnity payment that has sufficient value. It's about the Farm Bill and trying to make certain that the programs within the Farm Bill, particularly the conservation programs, help us conserve water, help us use it efficiently. And the research title of the Farm Bill that tells us what crops we should grow and how we can create hybrids that are more efficient in using water, use less water. So the Farm Bill is certainly related to this cause of drought. In the case of Quivira, it involves the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as the senior water rights holder. So we're dealing with the federal government. In regard to the Ogallala, it's a multi-state aquifer, so we're trying to figure out what role other states and Kansas can play together. I also would say that the ability for farmers to work together is a soil conservation, and that those watersheds prove that. But we need to have better programs. We've introduced legislation to allow private groups to partner with USDA in conservation programs. That's a lot like what our soil conservation districts do, and to have them have a formal role. We're trying to solve the problems with USDA and the vehicles that our soil conservation districts use that belong to NRCS, but they can't use them because there's no liability coverage, and yet the soil conservation districts are doing the work of NRCS. So lots of kind of nuts and bolts and big picture items all lined up to see if we can find solutions. So many times people expect the answer to, what's your proudest moment or what's the biggest success to be a piece of legislation. Legislation matters, but the greatest joy of this job comes from helping a person or helping a community. And there's lots of ways that this title U.S. Senator opens a door and gives a U.S. Senator the chance to solve someone's problem or to address their problem and make life a little bit better. So most of the experiences that I've had that provide the greatest sense of satisfaction come from helping a person, because I'm of the view we change the world kind of one person at a time.